Hello YouTube, this is Nick here. I'm going to do a little overview of my PC build that I'm doing and a little bit of background as well from what kind of a techie and gamer person I am and how PC gaming is actually pretty decent, and the do's and don'ts. Basically go over that for all you console gamers out there that are skeptical about PC gaming or talking bad about it. So let me give you a background. I've been a console gamer pretty much all my life. I did some PC gaming in the let's say mid-90s or so, when like Quake and Doom and all those games came out, Wolfenstein 3D, all those when they originally came out. And but I've owned every console system with the exception of TurboGrafx 16 and any of the Neo Geo home consoles I never owned, but everything else I pretty much have owned at one point or another, within trading in for something else or keeping it. So probably about when Xbox 360 and PS3 came out, I owned them both. And a buddy of mine was a PC gamer, and I noticed he was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on it, and I played on the console, and immediately right off the bat I was like, man, that game looks super good on the PC. And it got me kind of a bug kind of got to me about getting more out of a game, and which is what PC gaming does. It gives you more, gets you more out of your game. You get better graphics, resolution you can adjust however you like. So the whole time I thought I was on Xbox 360, I was playing in 1080p. Come to find out, it was not even barely 720p on it. So that was kind of disappointing when I realized that, because when you see 720p or 1080p on a PC, you can immediately tell the difference in resolution compared to the Xbox 360 and PS3 at the time. So about 2010, I got my first gaming laptop, and I went with a gaming laptop because I was playing it with friends' house and stuff like that. And I picked up I think it was a Gateway FX 8507. I think it was. It came with a GTX 9800 M with a dual core 2 2.5 gigahertz CPU. It was pretty decent. Played a couple games on it. Left me wanting more, so I sold that and ended up picking up a Asus G74SX. It had a 560M in it. Pretty decent laptop, 17-inch screen, and I gamed on that for a while. Upon doing research in gaming on PC, I always did with the laptops because just for portability and stuff like that. However, the performance you get with a laptop and the price you pay for it, laptops seem to get outdated pretty quickly for gaming. Anyway, for this web surfing and stuff like that, or even doing video editing, still pretty decent. Or video decoding, they still panel pretty decent. So I ended up selling that Asus G74SX, and I ended up picking up a Asus G46 VW, which is a 13.1-inch screen with a 660M in it. And it was a great laptop. I wanted something smaller because the 17-inch screen was getting kind of ridiculous to carry back and forth. It's not really that bad, but it was just kind of aggravating. So I wanted something smaller so that I can hold in my lap too if I want to bring in bed or whatever like that, or do whatever. So I ended up keeping that. I did a couple upgrades to it. I put an MSATA port to it, and did a couple little things like that. Took out the hard drive and put a SSD in there in replace of it. And I then bought a desktop. And this is the desktop I bought. It's a Alienware X51. Not bad. I got a good deal on it, which is the reason why I picked it up. I mean, a lot of people say build your own. And the reason why I got this is because I was a console gamer, and I love the size of it. Look how small it is. It's, about the size of a 360. And all the power that you need, basically, to run games. And it came with this is the i7 3770. It came with a 555 GTX 555, which was it was an okay GPU, but coming from a laptop blows it out of the water. I mean, the desktop GPUs are just way more powerful, more performance out of it. So I ended up getting rid of that 555. I sold it to a buddy of mine that played WoW with, and sold it to him for like $70 or something like that. I ended up picking that 660 Ti up and threw it in there, and the performance from the 555 to the 660 Ti was like night and day. It was like double the performance, and it was a great GPU. And I actually still have it in here on this computer, but and it's a great. This computer is still actually a great computer. It still runs everything that I throw at it at high settings, ultra settings, for the most part. Some of the newer titles, the AAAs, are a little bit more bogs it down more because of the GPU, but the CPU is still solid. Still a really good CPU, and just now the AAA games are requiring, are recommending, sorry, not requiring, but recommending that particular CPU, the i7-3770. So, and the reason why I'm really not really getting rid of it, but I'm switching and building my own, is because the upgradability on this thing. While it's a great computer, you are limited to the GPU in this thing, and I wanted to be able to upgrade my computer to whatever I want. And this thing, you're very limited. You can't. This version is the R1 version, and the power board on this is the limiting factor. And I really don't feel like investing more money into this computer to just to get a GPU to work like a 970 or higher in there. So I was going to keep it as it is, and to build my own. But how this all got started is I bought a GTX 970, and there were people putting them in their X51s, and I was like, oh sweet, I can put a 970 in here, it'll be sweet, perfect. So I put it in there, everything worked pretty decent, and the performance gain from the 660 Ti to the 970 was, wow, it was just like amazing. It was like double the performance on top of that too. I mean, it is a newer GPU, granted, but the 970s is a great 1080p GPU, which is what I'm gaming at, 1080p. Don't need a 4K screen right now until the GPUs get better, so you can run higher settings on them. So I bought it, put it in, everything worked fine for a little bit, getting great frame rates on every game I put in there, ultra settings on everything, and then all of a sudden the power board safety feature that it has in this R1, if it draws too much power in the GPU, it shuts it down. And granted that I think it's 150 watts. Once it pulls anything more than 150 on the power board on the GPU, it thinks it's overheating and it shuts it down and restarts the computer. So the 970 does draw 150, but when you power boost, it kicks over the 150 watt, and so that's which is what the issue is with this particular GPU. So I pulled it out and put the 660 back in, and said I'm just going to build a new computer. And I bought that about a year ago, and finally, after a year, I finally got all my parts together, and I'll be putting it together probably. I might do a video if people are interested in seeing me put one together. If not, I'll just put it together and then show the aftermath. So without further ado, I'll show you my build. So as I said, I went with the GTX 970, and this is it. It's an NVIDIA reference version, and the reason why I went with this is because I needed a reference card at the time because I wanted to water cool it. And the water cooler that I wanted to put in there is the Corsair HG10 N970, and you had to have a reference card for this particular model at the time they released the bracket. I think they've changed it because you had to pull the fan out of it on the reference cooler to cool the memory. But they've changed that, and they have their own cooler on it, so I'm not sure if you can use any 970 now or not, but I went ahead and got the reference card because I already had it anyway. So, and here's the bracket, the HG10 N970, and this will also work with the GTX 760 as well, if you have one of those. And kind of a waste. But if you have it and you want to get a little bit more performance out of it, you can use that to water cool it, to overclock it more. So, the water coolers, I went with I'm doing two GTX h100i GTX. This is going on my CPU, and I was going to do two of these, but this bracket will not support this water cooler head on it. I believe this will go on a 980 version and the 980 Ti version, but on the 970 version will not work. So I had to cancel out the other one I was going to get, and I ended up picking up the H100. And this is will work on this particular bracket. So this is a hard item to find, very hard, especially new. You can get them used on eBay, but I wanted a new one, and I ended up finding it on eBay, and I got it for about the same price I paid for this one. This one was a little bit cheaper because I had a mail-in rebate at the time when I bought it, and this one I paid the same price as this one, no rebate. So, moving along, I went with motherboard-wise, I went with the ASRock X99E ITX/AC. And the reason why I went with this motherboard is because I needed a mini ITX. And I was wanting to do an X99, but no one had a mini ITX board. So I was gonna do a build with the Z170s. And then I was building like a workstation for my buddy of mine at work, and came across this board because he had an ASRock, and I came across this board, and I'm like, what? They make a mini ITX and X99? Heck yeah! So I ended up buying this. Plus another selling factor on it was the fact that it has a blue PCBs and all that stuff like that, board stuff. I was going with a blue and green kind of look, and every board on the Z170s were black and red, and I was all the gaming versions, I should say, gaming motherboards were black and red. So when I saw this, I'm like, heck yeah, sold, getting it. So to go with that, I got the i7-5820K, which is a 6-core, 12-thread CPU. It is an overkill for what I'm doing with gaming, really, but went ahead and got it. Maybe future-proof it a little bit more. Your CPU does last the longest in the system in your computer system that you build. So if you do build one, try and get the best you can get CPU-wise, because it usually lasts you the longest. And then your GPUs are going to be the ones that are going to be upgrading pretty more regularly, I should say. Like I said, even the 660 Ti still plays games really decent. It's a 4-year-old GPU, so the misconception of having to upgrade all the time is not really necessary unless you want to get the 60 frames all the time in every game. I mean, it still plays it really good, you know, mid-30s to high 60s depending on the game. The newer AAAs, you know, it's gonna get the mid-30s to 45. Even on Star Wars Battlefront and playing on high and ultra, and then still get about 45 to 60 depending on what's going on in the game. So I was pretty satisfied and pretty impressed with that GPU considering it's 4 years old. Anyway, moving along. To get the water cooler to work on this motherboard, I had to buy an adapter kit. And this is it right here. It's a Acetec retention ring. I got it on eBay for about $5 with $6 for shipping. And you need to have this to fit on this motherboard. If you're not using this motherboard, you're fine with whatever it comes into the box. It comes with a couple different brackets in there, so you're fine without it. But the way they have this motherboard set up, as you can see, it's a little bit narrower. Whoops, sorry. It's a little bit more narrow on the mounting bracket, and so you need to have, because it's such a small board, to fit such a big CPU on it. So as you can see, it's a little bit smaller retention rings, or brackets, sorry. So you had to buy this kit, and it's an Aztec cooler on that, so it fits on there, no problem. I already tested it out to see it does. So everything's good. So just keep in mind, if you're going with this motherboard, you need to have this if you're water cooling your CPU with the GTX H100 GTX. If you're using the H100i, this comes with a bracket in there for that. You'll have to put a little spacers in there. There's some YouTube videos on people doing it, like some washers or something in between, just to get the pressure on the head of the cooler head. Okay, so with that said, the RAM wise, I went with Corsair Dominator Platinum 16 gigs. I've got these on sale, and the price on these dropped down dramatically. When I was looking at them building initially, this is like over $200 for these, and it like less than half. That's what it's going for now. The RAM has come down so much in price, and if you're definitely a good time to buy if you're trying to put one together. And like I said, I went a little overkill in this build, which is fine, which is what I wanted to do anyway, because I'm going to be, it's have an aesthetics and performance kind of build, so I want to have it look cool and, you know, perform pretty decent. So with that, I got the light bar upgrade kit, and I think it will look pretty cool on this motherboard with that. So I'm going with a teal and blue look, so I think it'll look pretty cool. Alright, powering this computer, I went with the AXI series. This is the 760 watt, and the reason why I went with that, I'm doing the Corsair link, and so a lot of my stuff is Corsair. I like the Corsair brand. I think they do a good product, and for the money. So I got this. This is also an 80 platinum, so it's very efficient, and I bought this reconditioned, and upon doing research on this, I went with this because it saved me about $80, and for refurbished, and it still comes with the same warranty, 1-year warranty, as a new one. So I said, might as well just do it. It comes with everything the new one has in the box. All you do is get a plain box instead of the fancy looking one like that. And for what I was reading, they actually do a more thorough test on these. So not a bad pickup if you're not to save a little bit of money somewhere. Definitely pick up a refurbish if you can. It's definitely worth it. Okay, this power supply is fully modular, which is another reason why I went with this case, this motherboard. Sorry, not motherboard. PSU. This PSU. It's fully modular. I wanted to have a cool cable kit to go with it. The cables that it comes with are nice. However, they are stiff. They are like bricks. I mean, it is bending. That thing is like bending a metal coat hanger with some of these. And so it's pretty crazy trying to get these things to bend how you like it, to get it to conform with cable management and stuff like that. So I ended up buying cable mods. These are performance premium cable kit, and this is the full kit right here. You get every piece that you would, just like it would come with in the inside here. You get all those right here. On top of that, I bought some SATA. SATA cables are braided as well. Give a nice little look. Bendable as well. So figured just go ahead and finish it off. They weren't too bad. I think when I bought the cables, they were like a couple extra bucks for those, so I went ahead and back up too. With that said, going on, drives. I initially had this 480 gig SSD as my boot drive, and but before I got right near the end of the build, I was like, you know what? This has an M2 drive on it. Might as well use that. So I bought this. It's a 256 SanDisk X400, and this is going to be my boot drive / Windows operating system on here. So I figured that would be a nice little, and plus it frees up space. You can put another SSD, or you'll have more upgradable room for having more SSDs or hard drives or whatever you want to add in there. So for now, this is going to be my Origin Uplay drive, and then I have a 2 terabyte SSHD, which is in my Alienware, which I'll pull out, and that's going to go as my Steam drive. Okay, moving along, the water coolers is a little tidbit for you. The motherboard that I have, and most motherboards, newer motherboards from what I've been reading, only come with one USB header for 2.0. There's a kind of 3.0 header as well, which is what I have for the front, and I got one USB 2.0 header. Well, these water coolers each use a header, and I have one. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great. So I found, after doing some research online, I found this, the NZXT USB expander. And what this does is you hook it up to your one USB drive, or header drive, I should say, and then this turns the 1 into 3. And plus, it's got the little USB drive in there as well if you want to add Bluetooth or a wireless adapter without taking out your outside USB ports. You can put them in there, which is a kind of cool little feature. However, this motherboard comes with a M2, sorry, not M2, an mSATA wireless / Bluetooth card. So I'm good to go with that. Don't need to use that. But the 3 USB headers, as you can see right there, 3, I will be using because I will need to use 2 of them. And then I have a Corsair link as well. The verdict is still out of whether or not I'm going to use this or not. We'll see as I put the build together whether or not I actually really need it. But I have it if I need. I thought it'll be a cool little feature to have for controlling the fans and stuff like that. And with that, I bought these little Y adapters so I can hook up my cooling fans to it, which I'll show you here in a second. There we are, cooling fans. I got the Corsair Air 240, which is a awesome case. I went with this case just because of cable management and small form factor. I like the small form factor PCs, and I love building in them. And this has the best of both worlds. You get great cable management and in a small form factor size. So, that being said, I bought these. These are going to be my exhaust fans for the back. These are 80mm, what brand are these? Intermax silent fans. Look cool, cheap. Pick them up, throw them in there. For my fans themselves, I'm going with LEDs. So, also, don't make a mistake like I did. They have Corsair. If you're going with Corsair fans, which are great fans, they make two versions: SPs and AFs. The AF stands for airflow. SP stands for static pressure. And what that means is static pressure. You want static pressure on water coolers. You need to pull or draw more air or pressurized air, which is what these do. These are great for case fans. These are case fans, as a matter of fact. That's what the AF stands for, airflow. And these pull out air out of your fans, not to be used for your water cooler. And then I got the green to go with my NVIDIA GPU to water cool that. So kind of excited to see how this is going to look with the build. I'm still kicking around ideas of how I'm going to put them in there, but kind of excited to see how it's going to turn out. But let's see, anything else? And that is it that I see. Got this as well. I think I'm going to use this to put my SSD on and have everything mounted on the 3.5-inch slot in the or hard drive slots on the Tier 240, and I'll probably end up pulling out the 2.5mm or 2.5-inch, sorry, 2.5-inch drive cages for the laptops or SSDs. I'll pull that cage out just to have room so I can mount the Corsair Link and this. So we'll see how that turns out. I'll play it by ear as I'm building, see if I can get by with leaving it in there or taking it out. So that's my build. Any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. That's pretty much it. Looking excited. Probably going to build this then tomorrow, maybe the next day. And then I'll throw a video up on the final build. Maybe even do a video of me building it. Alright guys, have a good day and we'll see you next time. Bye.